When the people of the country have forgotten how to disagree, the national economy is said to be okay. The wages that you get will help you to forget. Will you keep your ideologies or throw them all away? When the system has you beaten, even now you haven't eaten, cause you can't afford to eat or drink to keep your brain alive. Blame the system for the weather, carry on as ever. You gotta work at half past 8 and come back home at 5. Talking about the human race, how they got around in space, but it never stopped the wars. The whole of this humanity is based on greed and vanity. The ones who make decisions are the ones who make the laws. But you're still in this society, so what's your main priority? Remain in the majority, you never really cared. Or cultivate the hate to annihilate the state. Are you prepared to die for your beliefs or just to die your air? You exist to a population who insist you're just a bunch of mates. You cannot change the system till you change your own restrictions. Communication and conviction gotta kick until it breaks.
Good morning. Good evening. Today we're going to learn about crime and how to inject yourself with hormones safely so that you can finally become the woman you always wanted to be. And then we'll find out about a secret city that they're building to either make a camp or put you in, or the government can live there. Who knows? All right. Let's start out with something fun.
You back, dude.
Hey, let me see your hands.
Let me see your penis.
Let's move up. Yep, you keep contact. Hands up.
Penis out.
I'm contact.
Put your penis out.
Get out of the car. Get on the ground.
When everybody gets caught, they'll tell you, it was a mistake. It was the first time I ever did this. Well, in reality, it's not the first time you've done it. Maybe it's the first time you took that overt step, but you've been on there. You just don't wake up one day and roll over and decide, I'm going to go on a line and I'm going to strike up a conversation with a young girl and see how it goes.
Okay, some of us make mistakes. Some of us get caught on our first time. You know, you need to cut people a little slack. It's hard out there for a man, especially if you don't speak English and you're a criminal rapist and you're just looking for love. And sometimes you have the mind of a child, and sometimes you just need someone to relate to you. And so you go to the gas station, you buy some candy, and things don't turn out the way you wanted to. We've all been there.
Goes.
Matthew, grab a chair. On your right.
Oh, that's a very, very unfortunate music to be playing over the radio speaker. Tainted Love, when you're getting arrested for being a pedophile. That's silly.
Put your hands on your back, dude.
Relax. Grab a chair. On your right.
Hear that?
Matthew, grab a chair. On your right.
Put your hands on your back, dude.
Relax.
Relax your.
His cute little pickle pants. Pickle pants. Pickle pants.
I got it. Got it? I got it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a fucking idiot. Okay. Good call. Good thing I didn't start out and just keep doing that, looking at myself. There we go. Good call, Mr. Benjamin. Let's start that over. Well, we're off to a good start.
Hey, let me see your hands.
Let me see your penis.
Let's move up. Yep, you keep contact. Hands up.
Hands up!
I'm
Hands
contact.
up!
Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get on the ground.
When everybody gets caught, they'll tell you, it was a mistake. It was the first time I ever did this. Well, in reality, it's not the first time you've done it.
I'm just going to do the same rant over.
Maybe it's the first time you took that overt step, but you've been on there. You just don't wake up one day and roll over and decide, I'm going to go on a line and I'm going to strike up a conversation with a young girl and see how it goes.
All right, let's pretend that I didn't already make the joke about the Tainted Love. You hear the Tainted Love song? Okay, there we go.
Grab a chair. On your right.
Put your hands on your back, dude.
Relax.
That looks like a shark attack video. Look at those little pickle pants, though. I like those. I'm going to get me some pickle shorts.
Relax your. I got it. I got it. I got it.
Yeah. Tower Gang is gone. Your buddy Owen is at the center of it, apparently. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Some people are saying it's a ruse. Who knows what's going on with that? I kind of really don't care. I feel like, I don't know. I was getting a little tired of some of the people on there just kind of acting a fool.
You don't know.
Good job.
Just so you know, you're under arrest. By the way, you're under arrest.
I like that wasn't self-explanatory. We threw you on the ground without any explanation. Oh, by the way, you're under arrest. I mean, I don't have much pity for him, but it's just kind of funny.
What that mean? Under arrest.
I didn't do anything.
You're going to jail.
I didn't do anything.
Jail.
Put your hands on your back.
Hands behind your back.
I guess they had a big operation today. And, yeah, I was waiting for Israel. There was some stream that was supposed to be showing the fantastic bombing as if they didn't hurt enough people and didn't have enough enemies. This may be the last stream of the world. Who knows? Maybe that thing about Iran having nuclear weapons for the last 50 years and they're just on the verge of it, maybe it'll come true. Who knows?
His hoodie. Let go.
I'm not holding on to his thing. No, my leg is back. My leg is
stop
back.
fucking moving.
I'm not moving. I promise I'm not moving. My leg is back. Can you please be careful, my leg?
Alright.
Excuse me, I just tried to abduct a child. Can you be a little bit more sensitive to my needs?
He's 10-12. Okay, roll over. Alright. I'm gonna help you out. Ready?
Well, at least he wears a mask.
Ready? 1, 2.
He's not a complete savage.
I wanted to see if he was fucking with me so I can turn him in. It's not music, it's just music.
Okay. He's gonna go with you.
This is really, all of this is taking place at this gas station. It really doesn't seem like good advertisement for this, this gas station. Greetings, Sunshine RB. I would probably be pretty upset if I was running this gas station, not gonna lie.
Get up! Get up! Get up! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Okay, okay.
Let him go. Let him go.
Let him go. Okay, I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting.
Get on your fucking stuff. Stop. Stop resisting, you fucking idiot. Stop.
Give me your hands.
Hands. I got it right. Hold on. I gotta move.
I'm not resisting.
Yeah, you are, you fuck.
I'm not.
I'm gonna drop my knee into your fucking nose if you do anything else.
No. I'm not doing anything. Look, my hands are open. Somebody go check. Go.
God, too bad you didn't fucking run.
You pinched your.
I know.
I'm not.
Sheriff's office, hands up! Hands up!
Uh-oh. It's Top Lobster.
You got him? I got lethal.
Unlock it. Keep them up, understand me?
This has not been a good week for Top.
Ow. I am. The other hand.
Hey, put your hand down.
Yeah, I'm giving him the hand.
Probably good. We'll talk about it.
You got lethal?
Unlock your car.
Seatbelts on.
Hey, wasn't that guy just on one of the videos we were watching? That looked just like the guy that was on that video from yesterday about the mulattoes.
Oh, it's not a part. We're gonna put it on part.
Give me your hand.
Yes, sir.
Hands behind your back.
Yes, sir.
He's got reverse lights on. When he tells you to do something,
What's going on, man?
what do you think is going on?
What's going on, man? What's going on? I haven't
Stop
done
fucking
anything.
resisting.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Then why are you acting like a fool?
What do you mean I'm
Putting
doing
the shit in reverse.
I'm getting thrown
Acting
on
like
the
a damn
ground.
fool.
I'm getting thrown on
Sit
the
down.
ground.
Yeah, no shit, because you can't follow instructions.
Never trust anybody that wears one of those hats. Ever. Never, ever.
What do you
did I
think?
do?
Two cops at your door freaking telling you what to do. What do you think you should do? Put it in reverse and try to leave? No.
I didn't do a damn thing.
This thing is in reverse. Stop.
I didn't do anything.
He's in the store.
They should just arrest her and just fuck with her and be like, did you just sell that pedophile cigarettes? You're under arrest. Same gas station.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Get out the car. Get out the car. Get on the ground. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's behind your back.
Wait a second.
How funny would it be if he just reached his hands back and just started cupping the cop's balls? Just a little.
Go on your side.
When the cop is pointing a gun at you, you don't reach back in the car, dude. I'm sorry, man. Fucking stupid.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up!
Do not reach.
They're the same thing. They're just like there's like a condom inside the lollipop. You have to go and eat the lollipop first.
In there, dude. Stop, stop, stop.
And then you blow it up like the bubble gum that's inside the lollipops.
Here you go. Keep your hands over your head. Keep your hands over your head. We are relaxed. Relax your arm up.
Oh, look at those shorts. Look at those. Those are better than pickle shorts.
Here you go. Keep your hands over your head. Keep your hands over your head.
Look at that. And little leggy tattoos. Look at that. Is that the Arby's logo on your leg, sir? That's not good. That's a weird look, dude.
Relax your arm up. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the. I'm trying. Come on. Put your hands behind your fucking back. Put your hands behind your back. This is unnecessary. What the fuck are you doing? Relax your arms. I'm trying. Christ, man. What are you doing? What are you doing? We told you to get out of the car. You're worried about your phone, and then you don't want to put your hands behind your back. It's very fucking simple. Dude, this is crazy. Hands up!
Get your fucking hands up! Get on the ground. Get on the fucking ground. Put your hands behind your back.
Got it?
Yep.
Ew, look at that big skin tag he's got on his elbow. Ew. Everyone point and laugh at gross elbow guy. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Got it?
Yep.
He was wearing loafers? I didn't see that. These ones right here. No, those are work boots. Those are Timberlands. Those are usually loafers right there. Yeah, you're right. That's right. He just came casual work day. He was like, God damn it, on my day off, I'm supposed to be sitting around watching sports and beating my wife with my pistol. Now I got to go out in here and fuck with some Mexican pedophile.
On your side.
Holy shit, is that Dave Portnoy? No, never mind. Bam Margera.
Don't move. I'm coming around to you, boo.
Off the window now!
See, he has what's that fucking goddamn stupid, I don't know the sports ball teams. That fucking shitty fucking California team.
Get out.
Okay, man, calm down.
Get out.
Okay.
What about your back?
It really is a weird mentality. I mean, I'm assuming that, like, in his mind, the idea that this could be the worst day of your life, and his idea, the Raiders, that's right. Fuck the Raiders. That's such a fucking, everyone that I see that wears those fucking logos is a piece of shit. Like, this could be either the best day of your life or the worst day of your life. And I would assume, I mean, I've never tried it, but I would assume that probably there's a 99.999 chance this is going to be the worst day of your life. I mean, it's going to be the kids' worst day of their life. But really, that's really playing the odds there.
Unlock the door.
Unlock the door.
Use your left
Do it
hand.
now.
Unlock the door.
Unlock the door.
Is the car in park? Car, put it in park. Put it in park. Get them out.
Get down. Get down.
Yeah, they keep, Jared, you were asking, for whatever reason, they keep busting pedophiles at the same gas station. So I don't know if they're just luring them there or what. How do you set up a team, like a localized team in the town? That's so, god damn, that's got to be the worst job. Like, just go and chat with these people and then and really it's really not too much better for like the person on the other end that's like trying to catch these guys. It really can't be the best day of your life, really. I mean, I guess you get to go and mush his face into the ground like a piece of like old bubble gum, but I can't imagine it really. I guess it's satisfying. It would kind of wear on me, like just being like, God damn it, dude. It's like you throw like like you just keep catching, ironically, catfish. Like they're so easy to catch. And it's like, God damn it, I just have to keep catching this shit. And it's never like a marlin. It's just every day you're just catching some junk fish.
Sure. Get a car seat back there.
Wonderful. Traveling to meet a minor for sexual activity, using a computer and internet to solicit a minor for sexual activity, an unlawful two-way communication device. Like I said, here's a guy on vacation from North Carolina with his family.
That's the guy that he's always catching 4chan users also. I'm not saying that there's a correlation. I'm just saying that he catches a lot of 4chan users. He's also got quite a nose on him. He's got a nose for crime. What I was thinking is there was a video I watched a while ago, and I can't find it, but it made me curious. It was some horrible person showing other people how to inject things using a teddy bear, and then I found this one. I didn't know you could do this. I guess it makes sense. But here we go.
I'm Ashley Adamson, and I accidentally OD'd on estrogen. And this is day 3 of taking it. I took about 3.5 times my dosage.
Are you guys happy you're here?
For people that understand dosages a little bit, that I use a 50 milligrams per ml solution of estradiol enanthate, which you can't get in the United States. I actually got mailed to me from Ukraine by Lena. Thank you, Lena.
So that's what they're doing in those Ukraine biolabs.
And yeah, it was rough. My second day, I also freaked out the first day, and now things seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this one did pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That one did pretty good for themselves.
Be residing back to normality. And I'm really thankful that I only 3.5x'd it, because the way things went down, I could have 7x'd it. And the reason why I didn't accidentally 7x it is because my intuition saved me. So
it was that female intuition. After overdosing on that estrogen, you gained a sixth sense, and you were able to see the future.
So I wanted to share this story with you. God, my voice is like so cracky this morning. It's allergies. It's what it is. I mean, like, if you're trans, you probably have to deal on some level with your voice not always working all the time. And I guess I'm still gonna make a YouTube video. I know trans YouTubers probably wouldn't make a YouTube video around this, but that's me. We just gotta keep going, right? So let me tell you the story, and then let me break down some of the lessons I learned. And I can give you the obvious ones to start with, which will be very quick, but the more nuanced one I'm saving for last, because I think this is probably the most important one, and something that I think will help you as you reflect over your life and as you experience your life. If you can take this lesson, then you can save yourself from making a lot of big mistakes that you didn't know that you were about.
Just knowing my audience, I knew that this would be very helpful for most of you, as that's the target demographic.
To make, because that's what happened to me. And honestly, this lesson, I've probably learned it about 3 or 4 times, and in different scenarios where I got in car, I didn't listen to it, and I got in car accidents. So,
fucking Jared. I'm trying to think of who this person reminds me of. I kept wanting to say Ian Crossland.
Where did we start here? So I was gonna inject my estrogen. Now, this happened a few days ago. I got new needles, and my regular needles are 1 ml, and my new needles are 0.5 ml. So when you just think of it like that, you go, well, you're using a 1 ml, and now you're using a 0.5, but you inject 0.08 ml, so you just keep the measurements the same, right? Well, I did some skips of logic and understanding of my dosage, because in my head, I had 0.8 ml, and what that actually meant to me in a 1 ml container is that I did 0.8 of the first notch of the injector syringe. And when I pulled out the 0.5 ml, I had this in my head as, oh, well, I use 0.8 ml in terms of how much I inject. So that looks like 0.5, therefore I'm gonna need to fill this whole needle, and then I'm gonna need to add an additional 0.3 onto another needle. And then with both of those, I'll get my full 0.8 ml. Do you see where this is going?
I'm sorry. I hope someone else is following, because I don't really get it.
So
it's so ironic and funny that it is such a girl thing to do. Like, that was what was floating around in my brain.
as I started to do this, I started to go, well, like, that's this whole syringe, and like there's this other syringe here that it wasn't the whole syringe, and this just doesn't seem to add up. And I was just kind of looking at it thinking that's
okay. My wife says that this is correct, and this is how she would think.
Something was off here, and going like, well, I do use 0.8 ml, so I guess that is this one, and maybe the tube is just thinner, and that's why it just looks like a lot different. So I drew the 0.5 ml, which took me a long time to do that. And then I just went ahead, and I injected it into my butt. And as I'm injecting it into my butt, suddenly I get the rush, the familiar rush of estrogen entering my bloodstream. And I'm going in and I'm like, this is actually taking a long time to inject. There's just something wrong here. This looks like a lot and I'm already starting to feel it. I should just stop for a second and just double check things. And so I pulled it out and I stopped, and I had only injected a little over half of the syringe into my body, but I could have, if I followed through with it, injected the entire thing. Now, if I break down my chain of thoughts in there, there was a moment where I would have actually just injected the entire thing, and that may have put me more in danger. So the thought that could have kept me...
The estrogen rush, it feels like going to the gas station.
me going was, oh, well, you've already put it in. Well, let's kind of step up a couple layers here. So the first thought that kept me going was, oh, well, this is, you inject estrogen and you just have to do this 0.8. And I went on that assumption, and then while I was injecting, it's like, well, you're injecting, so you might as well finish the injection even if something does feel wrong. And the thing that stopped me was this overwhelming sense, and I honestly feel like my spirit guide stepped in here.
You're only 2 doses in and you're already fucking an astrology bitch. God, this stuff is strong, dude.
To stop me from doing this. And something felt wrong. My spirit guides poked me. I felt that, and that feels just like an enhanced or more like alert kind of feeling around that feeling of something is wrong. It's hard to describe it, but if you feel like something's wrong in your environment, and then you get a sense of like a alert that emphasizes or underlines this feeling of something being wrong, then maybe you'll respond to it. Hopefully you will. I was just kind of going through the motions, and then several of these this feels wrong moments kind of like stood up to me, and eventually as I'm injecting it exclaimed like, something is wrong here. So I pulled out and stopped myself from like doubling the amount of estrogen that I was going to take. Once I pulled out, I realized, oh, wait a second, this entire thing was wrong. I just overdosed on estrogen. I had a panic attack. I called emergency services. I talked to poison control. And I also talked to some of y'all on the Trans Club Discord. Thank you for helping me calm down. Thank you for giving me reassurance. I really appreciate it. Like, holy shit. And so that's the story. And then I've just kind of suffered.
You know who else should have pulled out? Yep.
Through migraines the next day. I couldn't sleep that night. I could feel the third eye, not the solar plexus, what is it called? The pineal gland. The pineal gland was just going off the chain. I couldn't sleep very well. I had some gnarly dreams. And then the following day I had like migraines all day. But taking a step back, let's talk about the obvious lessons first. The first one is you really should, if you're dealing with numbers like this with your medication, you should really just double check your numbers and be very, very clear on what your numbers are. And second of all, if you do run into problems, poison control is actually like a really useful service that I didn't know. You don't have to call 911. So those are the obvious ones. Those can be quick. The less obvious one, and I think the most important one, and the one that I come away from in this experience, is listening to your intuition. And the subset of this lesson is no.
That's because I don't hate you enough.
Noticing that feeling of when something is wrong. Do you know that feeling? Do you know that feeling when you feel like something is maybe the feeling says something feels off here. And then that feeling can then go into, well, something feels wrong here. But I can't really tell what feels wrong. And then that feeling can grow into, oh, something is wrong here. I need to get out of this location. I need to stop doing what I'm doing, whatever that is. Can you think of any moments that have happened to you that are like that?
When I clicked on this video and decided to just proceed with watching it.
So the thing I want to underline is this feeling for you. This moment where you feel things are off, it's good to listen to that and be aware of the situation. I think this is the thing that we forget about is the brain tries to summarize things. It tries to say, okay, everything's familiar, so we can just ignore this data that's around us. Like, it's a very familiar experience for me to inject my estrogen. I do it every week. So the brain is on autopilot, and my assumptions were incorrect. My numbers in my head were incorrect, and I just followed through with the motions because it all looked normal, and I was just going through this process of what I do all the time. But had I have listened to my intuition a little bit and amped up the intuition,
the something that is definitely off here is his penis. Hold on there. Let me give myself a rim shot. Pause. There we go. All right, now we can proceed.
Things would have gone differently. Now, I can also look back on my life in different moments where I didn't really listen to this feeling and it cost me. I remember not listening to this feeling recently when I was turning out of my garage and I hit the side of a trash bin. And I can also remember in my car, I can remember thinking of this when I got rear-ended. And I can remember...
Oh, I'm sure it's not the last time you're about to get rear-ended.
Thinking of this when I twisted my ankle when I was playing ping pong. There was something wrong with this move, but I said, well, I have to do this move in this moment to get the ball. But then I had a feeling of, no, maybe you shouldn't. And I just kind of overwrote that feeling and ended up twisting my ankle. So that's kind of the place where you want to be, is when you feel things are off, like you have to override your own operating system because your operating system is going through the motions. I think where it's most dangerous is when you're in a familiar situation.
I think the most passing part of this person, I mean, they're fairly convincing with the looks, but really the most passing part is just the behaviors of just a complete aloof woman. It reminds me of so many women I've been around.
Because these familiar situations are familiar, and your brain is going to want to just override any behaviors that are going to say this is wrong or something is incorrect here. But I think what's important is if you start to feel things are off, especially in a familiar situation, can you reset your perception? Can you reset the way that you're seeing things to take in more data, to look at things from more of a first principles perspective and really say, hey, wait, something is going on here that's incorrect. Let me just take a moment to take it all in and see what's going on, because my intuition, my body is feeling something that is not right, and I just don't know what it is. Have you had like moments where you feel like you've used your brain to...
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Or not your brain, but you've used a part of you to override this other part of you that has feelings?
I can't wait for there an opportunity to be when my wife can be on stream with us, like on the microphone, because her hatred and her just dismissiveness of women is so funny to me.
Wrong, or you shouldn't do X or Y. Like, can you think back to that moment where you did make this mistake of not listening to your intuition? What was that moment like? What did that feeling feel like? What was that feeling of something feels wrong? How does that feeling feel? And what thoughts or feelings did you use to ignore it, to override it? these are the moments, these are the mistakes that we want to learn from. And
God damn.
Honestly, it's very hard to catch in the moment because you're just allowing your subconscious to go. But it's this interjection moment. If you can just let yourself take a step back, that's really going to help you. So I hope that was useful today. Please like, share this video, tell the algorithm it's good, and join me on my YouTube subscription if you would like to support me. It really helps the channel grow. See you in another episode soon. Bye.
I'm just such an asshole for making you guys sit through that. Oh God, it's so funny to me. Look at this right here. This is the look of it's all so tiresome. Like this is what my eyes look like every morning. How to do a testosterone or estrogen injection at the LGBTQ clinic. Why would it be for anybody other than the T?
I like to instruct people on how to give themselves an injection. Today I'm going to show testosterone. My buddy here is going to be my patient.
That looks like every podcast fan I've ever seen.
And I will show you the basic setup on how to do this. If you have questions, please let us know, and we'll give you the website at the end of this video so you can refer to that to get more.
That looks like a very specific podcast that I'm thinking of in my head of every listener that listens to that one.
Information. So the number one thing you start out with is get all of your things together. And I'm going to clean my hands and put on gloves. At home, I just want you to wash your hands. You're not going to put on gloves.
It does look a lot like my wife.
To me, it's a simple procedure.
Right.
To you, it's going to be a little more involved, and that's because you're the one that's going to be doing the injection. So, we're going to start with the testosterone. And testosterone comes...
I really hope that this video is they just inject the testosterone and then the estrogen into the same person.
200 milligrams per milliliter, and I'll explain more about that. When you open your packages, I recommend you take the paper all the way off, set it plastic side down. If you leave the paper on, it might tip onto the floor and then you'll have to get a different piece of equipment. I have two different syringes here, so I can show you the ones that your pharmacy might give you. So the doctor will give you prescription for your medication, for your needles, and for your syringes. So, I'm going to open my alcohol swab. I've got two different needles here.
Is anyone else getting anxiety like they're sitting in this office with them and they're about to get the injection? Because like as she's opening it, I just feel like the countdown of like when I'm about to get a shot, and I'm just sitting there on like the table. I'm imagining there's a table like right here, and I'm just sitting there on that paper, and I'm about to get my turn.
You'll get two different needles. I recommend you even open your Band-Aid. And today we're using Batman Band-Aids. You can have boring Band-Aids if you want, but I think you deserve a little color. Now, one of the hard things is to get this cap off of this vial. People like to take it off up, but don't. Take it, turn it to the side. So turn it to the side, and that's how you get this off. You will not put it back on again. Take your alcohol swab, clean the top of this off to the count of 10. And then,
baby, what was the what we were saying that every butch lesbian wants to look like? What was that we were watching the other day? Yep. I think this is a I think this is a girl that turned into a boy.
and there are two different syringes. This one, if you can hopefully,
very good.
Is a 3 milliliter syringe.
Not Batman.
Some of you will have a
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'll pull that up while we're watching this.
Difficult to draw up amount in this syringe. So I recommend you will get then a 1 milliliter syringe. And that's the easiest one to use for most of the testosterones. You're going to get a larger needle, probably a 22 gauge needle, which is black, and that's what you're going to use to drop the medication. If you're going to give it to yourself in your muscle, you're going to use a 23 gauge needle. If you're going to give it to yourself in the subcutaneous.
This is what me and my wife decided that every single lesbian wants to look like. Like, this is what they all look like to me. They all look like a cross between this and Ness from Super Smash Bros.
More like a 6-foot turkey.
Is that not what every single lesbian looks like to you? Like, every single one I've ever seen.
Turkey.
I'm such a bastard.
Tissue, you're going to use a 25 gauge needle. So the needles are measured just like wire. So the larger the number, the smaller the wire, or the smaller the needle. So you have to give yourself, you have to put the same amount of air in the syringe as the medication you're taking out. When you take this cap off, give it a good tug, because if you give it a small tug, you might ricochet back and poke your thumb. So my buddy here takes a 0.5 milliliter. And a 0.5 milliliter is 0.
I was told specifically that you don't call trannies buddy, because I was at the yeah, you're gonna go home, Slav, and you're gonna be just thinking about injecting estrogen into yourself after working out because you got too manly. You can't call trans people buddy, because I was at the at school a couple years ago taking automotive courses, and I had to put my food down on a table that there was like a tranny, but like not really that good at passing, and I didn't know what they wanted to be called, and I needed to use the restroom that was right there, and I was like, hey, buddy, can I put this down here on the table while I go use the restroom? I thought I was being nice, and Buddy did not enjoy being called Buddy and gave me a really bad attitude, and I was like very upset and distraught that I just got basically just shitted on by some tranny. Tranny psyop. All right. We'll see you next time.
In this syringe. I recommend that you keep your vial on the table because you're going to be shaking.
Well, you can come back in a little bit. We'll be talking about, I will be watching this video that's a little interesting. I'm sorry I disappointed you with the tranny stuff. This one will interest you. I just need to get through this. We'll be done in a few minutes.
Put the air in.
You can wait out in the lobby.
And then you're going to start pulling up the medication. Make sure your needle is under the liquid. This holding on to all of this takes a little practice. So don't worry about it if you fumble and bumble. Now, testosterone and estrogen both are an oil-based medication. And that is so they can release slowly throughout your body between injections. It takes a long time to get in here. So if someone who, like, for example, uses insulin, they'll be very surprised to see how long it takes to get in. So we're going to pull it back.
Make sure you get that big air bubble right there in the needle. You want that. Well, then I won't go and make you guys watch this one. That'll be for my own personal entertainment.
Until we have enough. And then I'm going to get rid of the air. There we go. It's right on 0.5. Pull this off, set it down. Very, very, very carefully, very carefully.
This woman has the eyes of somebody that's given thousands of abortions. This must be so taxing on your mind and body. You guys think that this is hard for you to watch, the things that I subject you to. But, man, this person must have some deep inner conflict and turmoil.
Put this cap back on, and this syringe, it turns on, it turns off. This is a safety needle. After I give the injection, I'll show you how to take care of it. This one turns on, go ahead and turn on nice and tight. So to figure out where you give it to yourself, you want to put your hand in your groin. You're going to put it right
here we
into
go.
where your leg meets your groin. And I'm going to put my hand on the...
I'm pretty sure you can do all sorts of drugs like this. As in fact, you know, you don't have to limit yourself to transitioning yourself into some strange foreign creature that your parents never imagined raising and spending resources.
Knee. So this area right here between our two fingers is the area I will give the medication, the injection. I'm going to clean it. I like to wipe this alcohol off because sometimes it burns when you get it. Again, pull this off with an exaggeration.
All right, here we go. Here we
I'm
go.
Grab a
Here
hold
we
of his leg.
go.
Now, his nerves are concentrating on my fingers pushing on it. And then I just gently slip it in. I pull back a little bit to make sure there's no blood, and then I inject it. You can't inject it fast because the...
That's my hat on that one.
Oil will not let you do it. Pull it straight out.
Ooh.
As a safety needle, you push it up with your thumb, and it covers the needle. Now, no one can get poked with that needle. Because this is... Now comes the hard time to figure out where I gave it to him. You can actually
just forget.
Massage this in just a little bit. It's not bleeding at all. Do you want a Band-Aid? Sure. Okay. So if you get a little bit of oil back, a little bit of blood, don't worry about it. The little bit of blood means that you nicked a capillary. It's not gone in the vein. If you ever see a little bit of blood in the syringe, take it out, change your needle, and give it to yourself in a different spot.
Slav, I want you to do a high intensity workout for the last 1 minute 42 seconds of this video. You can just push it through. Just think about this video.
You're going to give this self to yourself subcutaneously. It's a very small needle, very short. Same measurement. It's going to be the side of your leg. You're going to go straight in and give yourself the medication exactly the same way.
God.
Again, push it up with your thumb to make it off. And you're done.
Yes. All right. Guys, take notes right there. Open all supplies, clean vial top, inject the same amount of air into the vial as the dosage, exchange needle, clean injection site, wipe off excess alcohol, grab the leg at the injection site, inject, cover needle with safety cap, and apply bandage. Are you guys satisfied now? You sure you don't want more trans videos? This one looks like a winner. Come on, you don't want to hear that one? All right. Fine. We'll go learn about the secret military base thing that the government in California is going to go and build up and possibly put you into camps or house migrants or house okay. I won't put the rest of you guys. I know Yup wants it, but that'll be for maybe afterwards.
around the California Forever story, sort of an ongoing series that I'm doing called, or I'm calling American Civil Military Fusion, Proposed Billionaire City as a Military Platform for National Defense. Ad nauseum, I've covered it over and over and over again in the past few Substack articles, in the last few YouTube videos, but it's so massive, as I mentioned before, if you take a look. I mean, this is a massive document, right? I just couldn't find a way to condense it any further. I could have done it in parts, but if I try...
Yeah, by the way, he's not lying. This Substack that he made is practically a book. The fact that he covers this in an hour 15 is pretty wild, but it's pretty crazy shit.
Tried to do that, this would have never been posted, published, whatever. So here you go. I decided what I'm going to do is chip away at it and break down this massive story. Massive in size, scope, density, and also massive importance, right? Because it ties in a lot of different important trends. Look at my stream last night for more information on that. I figured I'm going to make a video series chipping away at the different aspects, the different dimensions of the American civil military fusion story that lies at the root of Jan Stromik's California Forever sustainable utopian city plan, slated to be built next to Travis Air Force Base. As you can see on my thumbnail here, these are artist illustrations, layouts of the East Solano initiative, right? The main picture is the layouts of the neighborhoods, and then in the top left frame you could see an above view, a satellite view looking down, Travis Air Force Base and the expanded Travis security zone that Jan Stromik has planned. In other words, when he talks about protecting Travis and making Travis stronger, like I said before, those aren't baseless, mindless platitudes that he's just saying to assuage the locals' fears about how awful this city's going to be. No, I think he really means that he's going to defend and protect Travis in far deeper ways than those words let on. And the expanded Travis security zone is a perfect representation of just the tippy top, the tip of the iceberg of the various ways in which...
So he hasn't really explained it yet, but outside of the Travis Air Force Base, they've purchased like 60,000 acres, I believe it was, and they're going to be building some kind of city there and kind of enclosed, and they were keeping it secret. They kept denying it until like this was 9 months ago that this went up. And Gavin Newsom kept denying it until he was forced to admit that that was there. So that's what kind of adds to the oddity of why this is such a weird plan.
This city will be protecting Travis, but not so much directly protecting Travis as opposed to contributing and benefiting the overall defense innovation ecosystem, the rate in which we get new technology into the hands of the military and into the hands of the civilian population that's going to use it and benefit from it, allowing us, America, to keep our technological pioneering edge. But in this video, what I'm going to be discussing is Jan Stromik's stated goals, first and foremost. What's the big deal that I've been talking about? Like, my theory is all about how this city actually has more military motives than it does civilian motives. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk about the stated plan for Jan Stromik's city, aka just the normal civilian city goals. I'm going to build a sustainable city. We're going to lose the car-centric design and be environmentally friendly through cutting emissions with zero cars, walkability, compact living spaces, basically the WEF's vision of 15-minute cities, you know what I mean, that kind of idea, the whole walkability thing, making one kind of really reliant on the city around them, right? No cars, you're tapped into the system to get around, so to speak. I'm not saying any of this is technically a bad thing. We should care for the environment. We should build cities and, control urban sprawl. So it's not like I'm slighting Stromik here. I'm more curious about why he's talking about, civilian goals, such as fixing the housing crisis in California, when it really seems like his city has way more to do with military, defense, and strategic initiatives. Okay? So let's get started on this right here, guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate you stopping by to hang out. I'm going to really try to keep this one short, but you know how that goes. I always say that, and 1 hour later. So I think a good way to start would just be by visiting the California Forever website itself, where it plainly states the goals. We can look at that and be like, okay, do they state any military defense related goals, or is it mostly well planted, well rooted in the civilian domain? Let's take a look. The website is eastsolanoplan.com, and you can see the overview here. It's on the overview page. All of this will be in the show notes, guys. It's not a lot, but the sources will be.
It really reminds me, like, I have a theory, and like one of the things I keep saying to people is that Resident Evil is not a video game, it's a documentary. And if you watch the Netflix series of Resident Evil, that's exactly what this reminds me of.
Be there. Here's the overview of the East Solano plan. The East Solano Homes, Jobs, and Clean Energy Initiative will be on the ballot in November 2024. That has actually changed, but that's for a different time. In other words, basically, they had to put their plan on a ballot to have the local residents vote on it, but plans have changed. Nobody's going to vote on it. They're going to wait a few years before they do environmental studies, before they try to resubmit this city proposal to be voted on by the ballot, ultimately determining whether it's going to be built or not. Anyway. It lays out a plan for building a dynamic new community with middle-class homes and safe, walkable neighborhoods. The plan also includes a commitment to bring 15,000 good-paying local jobs to Solano County, $500 million in community benefits like down payment assistance for Solano residents, and $200 million commitment to invest in revitalizing downtowns in existing Solano cities. Okay, so as I said, so far that sounds very civilian-oriented. No defense, no military, no nothing, right? Well, let's continue. Let's see here. These commitments and more are embedded in the 10 voter guarantees in the ballot initiative. These 10 guarantees are legally binding. Solano County is not allowed to issue any building permits unless California Forever complies with these 10 guarantees. So to bring all these things in Solano, the plan calls for changing the general plan and zoning for East Solano County in 3 ways. And these are the important ways here. Creating a new Travis security zone that almost doubles the security buffer around Travis Air Force Base, where no development is permitted, from 7,900 acres to almost 15,000 acres. 2, authorizing the creation of a new community on approximately 17,500 acres, smaller than each of Fairfield, Vacaville, Vallejo, subject to the new community's compliance. Now remember guys, 17,500 acres is actually a lot smaller than what people were projecting, being as they bought over 60,000 acres, right? So I find that kind of interesting, but there's lots they can do with the other parcels, land parcels, I suppose. Continuing here. Number 3, creation of 712-acre Rio Vista parkland between the new community and Rio Vista, an open space that preserves the unique character of both communities while creating a shared open space resource with parks, sports facilities, and bike paths. So let's take a look at the map, guys. This is what they have planned, right? Now, I've been saying how this land grab that the investors behind the city plan, it's surrounded Travis Air Force Base. But if you look at this updated map here from their plan, you'll see that the community actually doesn't surround Travis Air Force Base. But that actually kind of makes things a little bit more questionable, and I'll explain why. If all you need is the land, I'm hyper zoomed in here, this is where California Forever City is going to be. This right here is Travis Air Force Base. Now, the lands they bought, guys, this is the city right here they want to build. This is Travis Air Force Base. The land they bought was all down here, which is where the windmills were. If you watched my stream from last night, if you guys missed it, it's the live stream from September 5th. Yeah, yesterday, September 5th. Okay, they bought all this land down here, which is the windmills I told you guys about. And then here's Travis Air Force Base. But here's the thing, guys. They bought parcels all around the base. But look, they don't want to build up there, right? Can you guys see? What I'm trying to say is, guys, is why did they buy parcels surrounding Travis Air Force Base here? And it wasn't every single parcel in the vicinity of Travis, like surrounding, but they own parcels on the back side, the right side, right, and the north-facing side as well.
Dude, everything, Jared, like everything that has happened in the last 10 years has basically been Resident Evil.
But they're not using anything over there. They're just building the new community down here. So why buy the parcels there? Remember what I told you. Those purchases sparked national security concerns, right? When they were still secret, the investors, they were using Flannery Associates LLC to hide their identities and their motives. They just started buying all this land out of nowhere. So they knew that they were sort of agitating, antagonizing the system, where that could have just been resolved had they spoke. Hey, Travis Air Force Base, just want to let you know I'm a big boy, rich boy, former Goldman Sachs golden boy. Gonna buy some land, build fucking city next to you. Okay? But they didn't do that, knowing that it's going to scare the pants off of everybody, given recent trends, which I discussed earlier in the Substack. Remember, China is buying up farmland next to military bases. Remember the Grand Forks case? They shut that down in an instant. So my point is, the secrecy surround all this sparked national security concerns because they were buying the parcels right here the whole time, and people thought it was China doing it, which would be scary, right? Infiltration, subversion, subterfuge. But now it comes to find out they still own those parcels, but they want to build a city all the way down here. So my point, why buy parcels bordering Travis Air Force Base if your community that you're buying the parcels for isn't anywhere near those same parcels outside Travis? Especially given the trouble you're going to go through when you buy them. You're going to spook the locals, spook the military. Is that the Chinese? What are they doing? It launched multiple investigations into them as a result of those purchases. And yet they did it anyway, and they're not even going to build on them? I find that interesting, and more importantly, I find that to be evidence of my theory. My theory better explains most of the oddities around this story. My theory explains what I'm circling around to with Jan Sramik's stated goals being firmly planted within the civilian domain, okay? My theory explains that better. My theory being that California Forever actually has more military defensive purposes than civilian crisis purposes, meaning he says he's building the city to help reinvigorate Solano County and help resolve the California ongoing housing crisis in California. That's also related to civilians, right? Other than providing a place to live for Travis Air Force Base personnel, which won't be everybody in the city, it'll be other civilians too, and protecting Travis.
Keep in mind, I don't know if there's any correlation, but that this was made before all the big fires in LA.
With the security zone, there's nothing defense related about Sramik's vision, about Sramik's goal. So as far as anybody concerns, when you read this website, you're looking and you're not thinking about the military. You're not thinking anything like that, right? So it's through the examination of the stated goals of the East Solano Plan on their website that highlights the ulterior motives that I'm going to conclude this video with.
There's 3 ways to get in the cattle business. You either inherit it, you're married, or you're dumb. And I'm the 3rd one. There was 2 farmers prior to me that went out of business trying to farm this land. It's just not good soil out here. It's grasslands. So I sold 450 acres to California Forever. No shenanigans. They paid us a good price for the land that, now I'm renting back at a very reasonable rate. My business is built on a handshake, and California Forever have been handshake.
So like I mentioned in the other videos, there were those farmers that had supposedly bad experiences with California Forever and were essentially forced off their lands using weaponized legal system mob-like tactics, as Congressman John Gary Mindy Garamendi describes. But then there's also farmers like this that claim to have had like a really positive experience with them, right? Let's continue looking at the stated goals. I just wanted to play that video real quick. So continuing our examination of their stated goals to see if any of them are publicly stated as being military, defense, national security related, we reach this part of the same overview page on the East Solano Plan website. Reports find that by 2040, East Solano Plan, California Forever, will create between 53,000 and 87,000 permanent new jobs in Solano County, and a $44 to $54 million tax surplus for Solano County. That sounds awesome, right? I mean, there's nothing negative about that. And that's one thing I want to make very clear here, guys, is I'm not faulting Jan Stramik necessarily. I'm not saying he's a bad actor, a bad boy with a dastardly plan. He's got the cat on his lap and he's petting it while he's making this plan. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm just drawing some parallels to this seemingly ulterior motive that, to be honest, I'm right about it, which I pretty much am, and you'll be seeing that, I think, by the end of this video, if not the next video. You'll see that I'm right about it, and I don't think it should be secret if I'm right about it, right? There's nothing to hide from the public about it, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion on it. So yeah, if he's right about this, that his new city, if it gets built, will create that many jobs, 53,000 to 87,000, that's great. $44 to $54 million tax surplus for Solano County, that's great, right? Blue Sky Consulting, a public policy and economics consulting firm, whose clients include the state treasurer, whatever, all this, has completed economic impact analysis and fiscal impact analysis of the East Solano Plan. Basically, what are the projected revenues, what are the projected benefits, and this, that, the other thing of my city, if I were to build my city, hypothetically, right? And the report found that by 2040, at population of 50,000 people, the new community would create, like I said, 53 to 87,000 permanent new jobs. Okay. Now you could read the full reports over here as well if you are a super nerd, but my nerd tendencies only go so far. Bringing the beach to Solano County with a beautiful beach-like lagoon that uses 25 times less water than an average 18-hole golf course. Look at this, guys. I don't know if they still have this planned, but this is on their website. They made an agreement with Crystal Lagoons to make Solano County the home of only second such lagoon in California, after Disney's new community in Cotino. So again, just the fact that there's a community being built by Disney is also a testament to where we're going. This broader trend of, technocracy, smart grid systems, smart cities, big private sector corporations, tech companies, and otherwise companies heavily involved in the utilization of like cutting edge tech, top of the line tech, Internet of Things, all the type of tech that comprises smart city functionality, right? That alone, the fact that Disney's building a city and the fact that billionaire Goldman Sachs, tech titans, Silicon Valley peeps are building a city, like gives you an indication of the general trajectory of things,
seriously,
the path that we're taking, so to speak. But a lagoon, Jesus, man, that's crazy. That looks pretty, man. I like that. Okay, no military mentions, no military defense strategies, nothing like that mentioned, right? I don't think a lagoon has like military applications unless there's an ICBM missile pod custom outfitted underneath the ground for the lagoon to open up and launch the missiles, right? And it just keeps listing all this out, all this really great stuff, right? Creating new paths to home ownership. This ties in the housing crisis in California. For close to a century, home ownership has been the foundation of the California dream. But recently that stopped being the case. The East Solano Plan was designed with the goal of making home ownership attainable for as many Solano residents and their children as possible. Sounds, once again, great to me, right? Housing is getting crazy. People are having a harder time affording homes. People are renting forever, borrowing forever, never owning anything. Now, of course, we know that that's the general agenda. And what we see here, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, that idea, right? But what you'll see here is Jan Stramik, Silicon Valley contingent, comes from big finance.
I just want to show you something. Israel has struck Iran, and it says Israel strikes Iran's dozen of nuclear sites. Do these look like nuclear sites to you guys? Does that look like a nuclear site? Does that look like one also? That kind of looks like a hospital almost to me, or a hotel. Huh. That looks like somebody's apartment. It's kind of odd place to hold your nuclear weapons. Kind of weird. That doesn't look like nuclear material. That doesn't either. That's weird. I feel like we're being lied to. Why would our greatest ally lie to us? That doesn't make sense. I feel betrayed, almost like, I don't know, I'm starting to wake up to something. So strange. It's such a weird feeling of betrayal. That definitely looks like a nuclear site right there. Big old open field. Yeah. Well, I guess all we got to do is pray for Israel, right?
Seems to have a more positive vision in mind, where he wants people to provide a path for people to actually be able to afford homes. Now, again, I'm saying this plays into that broader agenda more than it doesn't, but this is positive on its face, okay? To try and say that this is negative would be silly. It would be fear-mongering, right? Even I'm willing to say, hey, like, cool ideas like this need to be executed from time to time, need to be tried. Why not? Like, not everyone is bad, not everyone is evil, okay? Regardless of the content matter I cover here on the channel. But all right, so far, nothing military related. The last thing on the page regarding their stated goals is securing water for the first 100,000 residents of the new community. Like I said, this isn't like a small community, guys. This is big. But that's not military related. It just talks about water usage. Oh, I guess the page continues. A new regional sports complex for Solano County. That's not military. More good paying jobs. Let's see if this... I don't think this... Yeah. So again, there you go. Okay, here's a good mention. Let's see what this says, guys. Supporting and strengthening Travis Air Force Base. We believe the East Solano plan will increase the resilience of Travis Air Force Base. Resilience. What is the overarching theme I've been talking about here? Resilient infrastructure, sustainability. It ties in with the climate change mitigation framework, which also loops in smart cities, which is inherently tied to the climate change mitigation framework, because smart cities are eco-friendly, like inherently by default. Internet of Things technology, smart city technology, that's all going to be leveraged by both private sector Silicon Valley, big tech technologies in the commercial sector and the military sector, which I covered in the video last night. Remember, the military is following the private sector Silicon Valley entities like Jan Sramik, not him specifically, but the people, the investors of this city, right? And the smart city programs that are on rolling out across the United States. Slowly, but quickly accelerating, remember, to keep up with China, who's building smart cities like crazy. All right, so other than him saying we're going to build a security zone for Travis, we're going to help support Travis, affordable houses for Travis Air Force Base personnel, like pretty light surface level stuff that it doesn't get my alarm bells ringing at that point. Okay, yeah, you're going to support
That's
Travis.
funny
That's
that somebody
pretty easy stuff. No big deal, but let's read into this further.
Put that on,
We believe the East Solano plan will increase the resilience of Travis Air Force Base with a new, much larger security zone, as well as homes that airmen and their families can afford, new job opportunities for military spouses, and a whole new aerospace and defense innovation zone in Solano County. There we go. We have worked hard to adjust this project to support Travis's vital mission. And then, on February 15th of this year, Travis released this statement.
Sorry, just for context, Slav just sent me a list of all the times that Netanyahu and Israel has claimed that they are so and so many years away from nuclear capabilities. I can't believe that this has been going on for so fucking long. And the worst part is right here in 92, we were still, Israel was still buying oil up until 96 from Iran. They had a pipeline called the Haifa pipeline that was going all the way from Iran to Israel, and they were selling them oil while they officially were not on speaking terms, pretty much. It's pretty interesting. It's all wrestling.
2 weeks ago, now this is still outdated, guys, keep that in mind, but it just gives you a good idea of the history of this program, this project, and how Travis has been connected to it, and how they claim to have no idea about it, how it becomes protected, whatever. 2 weeks ago, Travis expressed concerns regarding the impact on our mission of the proposed land use in the northwestern portion of the new community proposed by California Forever. We have now learned that in response to our concerns, California Forever filed an amended version of the initiative with the Solano County Registrar of Voters yesterday, February 14th, 2024. California Forever made significant changes to its plan in order to protect Travis's global mission and local flight operations. With this revised proposal, Travis Air Force Base will be able to continue to fly its full mission, including all of our personnel, operational exercise, and local training flights, so on and so forth, including night vision goggle. Basically, they don't have to worry about any of the stuff they thought they had to be worried about with California Forever. Travis Air Force Base recognizes California Forever's efforts to minimize impacts to operations and mission capabilities, as well as their project's potential to improve the well-being of our airmen and families in the future.
I would be really interested to find out what the topography is of that land that he showed that map of back here. What's there? Because it goes directly to the river right there. And I bet you that's a big factor in whatever they're building.
All right. Now we're talking a little bit, right? Because most of the time, remember, from the moment Flannery began, or rather, from the moment these guys went public, Reid Hoffman, Laurene Powell Jobs, Jan Sramik, all these billionaire investors, Michael Morris, as soon as they became public in August of last year, they've been public now, well known for just over a year now. August of 2023, they were first revealed. There just hasn't been much discussion in the vein of national defense, national security, how this plan directly benefits all of that, right? Protecting America, protecting Travis. We've heard that Jan wants to protect Travis, wants to strengthen Travis, and we've heard about the security zone, okay? Which Travis Air Force Base was talking about here, and which we saw outlined on the page, okay? But look at the little tidbit they throw in here at the end. This isn't something that much of the public really thinks twice about. In the same way they don't think twice about him saying we're going to support Travis. They don't look deeper into that. Okay, I'm sure you will, in normal, conventional ways. But it's far from conventional. This isn't doing it justice. Look. They say, we believe the East Solano plan will increase the resilience of Travis Air Force Base, which, by the way, increasing the resiliency of Air Force bases and military bases is a key part of the modernization campaign going across every branch in the military right now. Re-outfitting military bases into smart bases, smart installations of the future, following the Smart City program in the name of achieving resiliency from things anywhere from kinetic missile attacks from the Chinese to unconventional asymmetrical attacks, such as the Chinese buying land right next to it and fucking surveilling, to climate change, okay? Wildfires. They now categorize climate change as the same type of threat as China and enemy combatants, okay? So make no mistake, it's important when they say they're going to increase the resilience of Travis Air Force Base. But, okay, much larger security zone, got it.
When he says that about the climate change being kind of a threat like China, I wonder if there's already basically war going on between us and major powers controlling the weather. I know it kind of gets into like a woo-woo territory, and yeah, they do have programs to go and do that, but I wonder how much they don't tell us. Because, they really just kind of let them do whatever they wanted when it came to the virus. So why wouldn't they just keep their mouth shut about, we're sending hurricanes and typhoons back and forth to each other?
But the other way it's going to benefit it is by creating a whole new aerospace and defense innovation zone in Solano County. Now that is interesting. That's something that you can really overlook. And that's something that's not really discussed heavily by Jan Sramik. Like I said, everything up until this point, up until recently, has sounded very civilian, very rooted in the civilian domain. But now, these little statements that don't seem like much actually give us a hint. This is our real only glimpse into the much deeper underbelly, guys, of the military-industrial complex side of this, the defense initiatives. The battle is coming home, and stuff like this innovative, sustainable city approach has way more to do with national security than you could ever imagine, right? So now, let's get into what I mean by that. What do they mean by a whole new aerospace and defense innovation zone? Wait, that doesn't sound civilian at all. It's because it's not. And by the end of this, you'll see that the city is actually better described as like a defensive military platform itself. To transition into that demonstration here, let's listen to about 2 minutes or less, about 2 minutes, of Jan Sramik talking about why he chose the location he did for his city, right next to Travis Air Force Base, keeping in mind this weird binary, this secretive, not really stressed too much, military defense purpose that is clearly there, but he doesn't talk about overtly or blatantly that much. And instead how he focuses entirely on the civilian benefits while casually protecting Travis, but we're not going to get too deep into that, right? You know what I'm saying? So just keep your ear out for this. Listen.
Why Solano County, and why directly around Travis Air Force Base? Why Solano County, and why directly around Travis Air Force Base?
Solano County is...
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Thank you for pointing that out to me, Cock Launch. So that's kind of interesting to find out. So in this article here by Industry Week, it's saying that high purity quartz was exposed after Hurricane Helene. That is very interesting when you talk about all of the oops, we're back at the trans person. When we're talking about the wafers being produced by a Taiwan company in Texas coming up.
Is an interesting place in that it's at these crossroads of Northern California.
So right there, he mentions the geographical significance of Solano County. Now remember, a big part of my theory about this being a covert military partnership with Silicon Valley and the city being a defensive military platform itself is my theory hinges on the geographical location. Not only is it directly next to Travis Air Force Base, which would spark the fusion of the military-civilian domains, like China is doing, to spark innovation, thus resulting in rapidly leveraging technology, which is the ultimate overarching goal of the military-industrial complex right now, all in the name of keeping up with China and protecting the homeland.
It has a lot of many of the best.
But my theory also hinges on the fact that it's right next to Silicon Valley. It's right down the street from Silicon Valley, the tech hub of America, nearly the tech hub of the world, right? So what he's saying is the civilian side. He wants to reinvigorate the area, Solano County, but he says about, agriculture. He says reinvigorating, making it back to where it was as a bustling urban environment with a city and lots of activity, all civilian stuff. He's not talking about we need to reinvigorate the fucking military defense structure before we get a bunch of planes lobbed back into us. We need to strengthen these defenses and strengthen... No, he's talking about we need to revitalize the economy here. All very boring, sustainable, like civilian stuff, right? Let's listen.
California, is it...
Why Solano County, and why directly around Travis Air Force Base?
Solano County is an interesting place in that it's it's at these crossroads of Northern California. It has a lot of many of the best things that make Northern California. But at the same time, because it has been between the two metro regions, it's been between the Bay Area and the and Sacramento. What I
Another key point
noticed at the time is that it hasn't received its fair share of major employers, of investment, of tax dollars, of transportation dollars, and so it was this really special place. But it felt
really special place, but it's not getting the care, tender love and care that he thinks it deserves. Right? The industry just isn't there in recent years, he says.
Does anyone think it's kind of odd that all of the cities that they build for us, for the most part, aren't very high story buildings versus the ones that they're trying to compete with are, you know, basically skyscrapers in China? I don't understand why we don't build stuff like that.
Like if we build a project like this here, we could really bring up the whole area.
So he said, if we can build up a project like my city here in Solano County, we can build up the whole area. Now, given what he mentioned just before that, you know, the economy, revitalizing the economy, bringing back industry, providing jobs, all boring stuff, civilian stuff that you know, it's boring. I'm not thinking about the military when I listen to this, right? Are you? I don't hear nothing about this, like, just sounds like military defense stuff. But he's talking about bringing up the area, reinvigorating the area. Okay? Keep that in mind.
And we could help rectify some of those imbalances. And a good example of that is jobs. What I learned when I started coming to Solano County was just how many people would have to commute an hour and a half every day for job, and that seemed like a situation that we could dramatically improve.
That would be great, actually, right? And that is like, it's not like there's any, it's not like the shift of focus away from car-centric design to walkability is inherently negative. Like I said, nobody likes commuting. Nobody likes congestion. Nobody likes sitting in their car. Nobody likes congested streets. Nobody likes having to travel a mile, but having it take 20 minutes because of 30 stoplights and like 4-lane fucking highways and like little accessibility otherwise, right? I get it. So I'm really not painting Sramik as like a demon here. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling out his seemingly obscuring of his military defense interests and simply gently nudging him to be proud of undertaking such a patriotic endeavor.
And then with regards to Travis Air Force Base, we never had the intention of building a city next to Travis Air Force Base. We started buying property far away from the base. Eventually we acquired property close to the base because
those are the parcels I'm talking about. And also, I called out in my stream yesterday that, I don't know, man, it doesn't strike me as genuine when he says, we had no intention of buying next to the base. What do you mean? I mean, buying that land, they bought it for 3 times the market value. You saw the clip from this video earlier with the farmer when he's kicking the dirt and he's like, you know, it's hard to grow stuff out here. Well, despite that, Jan Sramik and his gang of investors, Reid Hoffman, Laurent Powell-Jobs, spent millions, close to $1 billion on the land that is very difficult to grow on, is barren, is unzoned, and is militarily sensitive to the point where if you buy it out of the blue, you're going to be batting a beehive. Who's that? Who's buying? Is it China? Is it this? Is it that? National security, boom, boom, boom. But they not only did it anyway, but they allegedly...
You know what? I'll help both of you guys agree. You know what happens when you start a fire and you have a major fire is it creates a high pressure zone or a low pressure zone, and you can start kind of steering hurricanes that way too.
Allegedly forced multi-generational farmers off their land in pursuit of getting the land, allegedly, weaponizing the legal system and essentially financially exhausting them, accusing them of price fixing to prevent California from acquiring the land. Bought it for 3 times what it was worth. 3 times what it was worth, despite being barren, unzoned land, which, by the way, has no access to water, has very minimal roads. Like, everything would have to be built up again on top of the close to $1 billion they spent on it already without even knowing if they'd be able to actually build their city or not. So this I can't understate how massive this project is. This is a multi-generational project, multi-decade project, right? So I don't think the location is coincidental. I don't think he's like, oh man, I didn't realize we were buying so close to a military base like he says in this interview, right? I don't think so. Because he is well aware. He's a smart guy if you listen to him. I actually enjoy some of the things he says. I don't disagree with much of it, actually, right? It's just that I'm cautious because I see this ulterior motive, and it makes me wonder why they're sort of obscuring it from the civilian public. And as you saw in the last video, Governor Newsom was very cagey about this story, claiming to have no idea about it, when I broke the story that he actually probably knew about it the whole time. That concerns me, so I look into it deeper, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was going to get into the Gavin Newsom part on this, but it must have been during one of his live streams. A lot of his videos get taken down or he removes them, so they're not on YouTube.
So anyway, all civilian mentions, all this, all that. Let's reinvigorate the Solano region, right? The location next to the base is coincidental, but what did he say at the end there? He said the parcels that we bought closer to Travis, initially we bought parcels further away, okay? That makes sense because look, remember how I told you on this map here? The new community is right here. They bought all the parcels at first, all down here, but then they started buying parcels up here around the base in 2019. That's when the investigations were launched into them, okay? And that's why people were thinking, yo, if you're building a city all the way down there, why are you buying parcels up here when you know that we're really concerned about national security and protecting the space around our base? Why would you do that? And he mentions that here. So let's go back.
We never had the intention of building a city next to Travis Air Force Base. We started buying property far away from the base. Eventually we acquired property close to the base because we wanted to be able to work with the base to protect it and to strengthen it. And we felt that if we were...
Okay, so it's kind of a one-sided weird thing here. We ended up buying parcels next to the base after buying the parcels far away from it. Because, you know, we're not building our city right next to it. We're building it all the way down here, like a half mile away. And yet Jan Schramek here is saying, then we reconsidered and realized we want to protect Travis. So we bought parcels around it, immediately around it. But you're not building anything on there. Your city isn't going on those parcels. So how are you going to strengthen the base in that way, unless it goes as part of the security zone, which I don't know if it is. Let's look at the map. The Travis security zone, it might be part of the Travis security zone. No, the parcels that they bought were outside of Travis's original. My point is, people were spooked by the fact that they bought the parcels up here around the base when their city is going to be in blue. Their city is where the blue is, but they bought the parcels all around the base up here, which concerned Travis, okay? And people thought that was weird. And those are the same parcels, keep in mind. Sorry, I had this up. I was looking at the map there. In blue right here, okay, that's the new community. Here's Travis. They bought the parcels up here, even though they're not building up there, which spooked the base. What are you doing? We don't know who you are or what you want to do. Are you China or what are you doing? Right? Crazy stuff. They were really concerned with justifiable reason. And Jan decided to continue buying those parcels to protect Travis, even though he didn't tell them, hey, it's me, Jan Schramek. I'm rich. I want to protect you. You know, isn't that weird? Like, if I want to protect somebody, I'm not going to, like, go out of my way to scare them while I do it. So Jan Schramek is like, I'm going to protect Travis. So he buys up a bunch of parcels around the base to do it, scaring the pants off of the military, Travis, Congressman Mike Thompson, Garamendi, local representatives, Fairfield mayor, of Rio Vista mayor, and so on, all in the name of protecting. Like, that's something doesn't match here, and that's what I'm saying. My theory explains all of this more adequately than the official narrative does. So anyway, I'm kind of done with the parcel stuff here. You guys get it.
Travis Air Force Base. That's who Travis is.
Point is, most of this, other than just the casual mention of we're going to help build a security zone around Travis, a buffer zone, like a moat around a castle, you know, there's not much defense mention. Let's give it an extra minute, see if he comes around and is more open about that.
We're doing a large project in the 5 or 10 miles away from the base, then we would want to control the property next to the base as well, so that we could adequately provide the right protections for Travis as well.
You've been buying land for over 5 years. Why the initial secrecy?
We felt in the beginning that we were very convinced that there was a project that we could design in this part of the county that could be a real asset for the county and that could work for all the different stakeholders. And so,
okay, a real asset for the county. We want to build a city, and I'm looking at my plans here, and man, I think this could be a real benefit for Solano County as a whole, and a benefit for all the different stakeholders. Once again, no mention of the military, other than it can also protect Travis. We're going to benefit the stakeholders, benefit and reinvigorate, rise up by bringing in industry, Solano County, and protecting Travis in the meantime. Nothing like super duper military defense oriented.
It could be an asset for Travis.
We can be an asset for Travis. Once again, he doesn't build on it. He just says we're going to protect it and we're going to be an asset for Travis. But again, when have you ever seen a normal city be an asset for a base? I mean, technically, I guess you can, but you get what I'm saying? You don't have like, I don't know of any cities that have a military base in them, just off the top of my head. But I don't think they use this type of like rhetoric, this type of language saying that we're protecting the base. The military isn't protecting our city. We are, the city is protected. Like, something's weird about that, right? Let's continue.
Could work for the agricultural community. It could be great for all of the existing cities. But we felt that in order to do the project, we had to be able to design it right. And that meant putting things in places where all of those stakeholders would be happy. And the only way to do that was to control a large amount of land. And so we want...
So I don't know what he means by stakeholders, if he's just referencing the investors, Reid Hoffman, Lauren Powell Jobs, because I'll tell you who wasn't happy when they started buying land in 2017 and suddenly bought a swath of land twice the size of San Francisco in 2019 was the military. It was California officials, congressmen, local representatives, mayors, the entire residential community living in the immediate vicinity that says, oh my God, is my way of life about to be destroyed because of this city? Am I going to lose the farm that I've had in my family for generations that has been passed down to me because of this city? Doesn't matter. They just continued causing the national security concerns, causing concern among the residents in secret for 5 years because they wanted to. What was the reason he gave? Let's go back 5-10 seconds.
Right, and that meant putting things in places where all of those stakeholders would be happy. And the only way to do that was to control a large amount of land. And so we wanted to prevent the situation where if we announced the plans prematurely, there would be this reckless speculation rush. And then the county...
So reckless speculation rush is why they were secret. But come on. The mainstream media actually called them out for this in a different interview, an earlier interview that ABC...
It's unfortunate that he doesn't show in this video the Gavin Newsom interview because it's very odd where it clearly shows that Gavin Newsom knew that this was going on. And I would have a hard time believing that the Air Force Base had no idea what was going on with this.
7, which was great, did with Jan Sramik. She was like, she basically said, are you serious though? Did you really think, like, how did you not expect such a massive land grab, becoming the largest landowners in Solano County nearly overnight? How did you think that that would prevent reckless speculation? So it's a weak reason, and I'm not the only one that saw that, and neither is the ABC 7 reporter whose name I forget at the moment, but I cited her in my work.
They would be dealing with lots of different people proposing lots of different projects, and it would result in disorderly growth and sprawl, which is exactly what the county and many of the local stakeholders have been trying to prevent.
So that makes sense. It's to prevent
I picked Purdue Global because...
We talked about that in the last video. Remember, encroachment of urban sprawl to military bases is actually one of the biggest national security threats facing the military right now. Well, that's partly what Travis and their security zone does, right? The security zone is meant to prevent incompatible land use. So it does protect Travis in that way, rather than some other guy coming in and saying, I'm going to build skyscrapers around your base because I don't care about you. Jan Sramik is saying, hey, look, I do want to build a city, but I'm conscious of what Travis and the military needs because I care about you. So I'm going to build a security zone to make sure that no incompatible encroachment happens. And I'm going to build a little further away. Okay. But as we have seen, it gets a little deeper than that. All right. So we've seen that. Let's continue. It's been 40 minutes. I'm going to wrap up here, try and do it under an hour. That's, as you can see, I'm trying to paint this picture where if you were to just casually read about this in the news, you're mostly thinking, okay, civilian city. He's building a city. Yeah, it's next to an Air Force base. He's trying to figure out ways to work with them, to not make them panic, to not inflict damage upon their operations. Like, nothing I would blink an eye at if I'm casually sifting through this story or reading it in the news like many others were in August, right? But you look deeper into it, as I said, and you find out that there's way more defense initiatives to this city, to the point where it's the military objectives that Jan has not been talking about are way more important and primary to the city's operation, in my opinion, and its very existence than anything he said in that video or on the Solano County website, the overview. So let's continue on here. In the first year, it's been 1 year since they were revealed. During that time, August to like January or February of 2024, I'm researching this whole thing. I developed a theory that it's a covert military joint civilian project, right? But they're not really saying it. They're not saying this is going to be a military city for defensive purposes, whatever. They're going to say it's going to help with jobs, normal shit, boring stuff. I developed that theory by October of 2023, just a few months after they came out. By November or December of that year, I got a tip-off from a resident of Solano County. Now, I don't know if this is not confirmed, but he's a reasonable... He's spoken to Fairfield's Mayor Catherine Moy before. Fairfield is a city right next to Travis. Moy has been outspoken opponent of this plan. My source has shown up at the local meetings where Jan Sramik speaks and takes questions from the local Solano County residents. And I'm very proud of this. I told him about the Epstein connections that the investors have. He showed up at one of those meetings, one of those public community Q&A sessions with Jan Sramik, and actually publicly called the investors out for the Epstein connections, which is... well done, dude. I don't know if you're watching this, but well done. That was fucking awesome that you did that. But this person also told me that somebody connected with California Forever, Jan Sramik, the guy that we were just looking at, someone connected to them was dispatched to Washington, D.C. in a lobbying capacity to talk or lobby DARPA. DARPA. Guys, you know what DARPA is. DARPA is the tip of the spear of our military capabilities. Breakthrough technologies and capabilities is what they're creating, all for national security. The weapons the military uses, have you ever wondered, like, why does every American military serviceman use an M16? I see it in all my movies, my bing bang boom shooting explosion movies. Why do they always use the same gun? The standard issue service rifle comes from DARPA, essentially. DARPA, everything you use, Siri on your iPhone comes from DARPA. We know this, the overlap between military technologies seeping into the civilian sector over time. The very fact that there was a trickle-down effect in that way is a testament to the very existence of the barrier between military and civilian technologies. For example, Siri existed long before it was on our phones, but it was in the military domain, locked up. Google Maps, satellite imagery, Google Earth, all military, locked up for use only by the military, but then eventually it comes to us. It crosses the barrier because they let it through. What I'm saying is this story is about the destruction of that barrier, the obliteration of that barrier, the eradication of that trickle-down effect, the rapid integration of technology through the fusion of Silicon Valley, people like Jan Sramik, and the military-industrial complex, the DoD. There is no trickle-down effect anymore when every technology built here on out has dual-use military offensive weapons applications and civilian recreational applications. In other words, you can watch porn or you can conduct a cyber attack. You can watch Better Call Saul, a masterful cinematic masterpiece, or you can hack into the Hoover Dam and let the water out. All with the same device, okay? That's what this story is about. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here before we get over an hour. I think I'm going to miss my mark by a bit. Oh yeah, but my point is, what I was saying was the source I tapped from Solano County told me about the DARPA thing. Now, if you're looking at Jan Sramik saying, we're going to reinvigorate the economy, this is all civilian stuff, nothing to do with the military, we just coincidentally decided to build a city next to a military base. That's on accident, though. That's not whatever. That would confuse somebody. If you were told to tell anybody, hey, they're talking to DARPA, and they sent DARPA to DC to lobby them, probably on behalf of California Forever. That's the general idea I got from the person's tip. He didn't have much further info. You'd be confused. Wait, why would DARPA be involved in the creation of a city? You know, a totally normal, albeit ambitious, innovative, sustainable city. Why would DARPA? I mean, that doesn't make sense. I mean, did DARPA help create New York City? Did DARPA help? I mean, maybe it did. I don't know. Fuck. I should probably check myself, actually. But you get what I'm saying. We don't look at cities and typically associate them with the products of military machinations. Right? And yet, when I got that tip, I had already developed my theory that this was an informal branch of Travis Air Force Base, perhaps an extension, or the product of a clandestine collaboration between the military-industrial complex and Silicon Valley, the DoD in Silicon Valley, to create a radically innovative, cutting-edge new defense innovation structure in the form of a city next to a base in order to spark innovation because of that proximity. Not to mention the proximity to Silicon Valley, that is also right down the road, and Travis Air Force Base, which deals with the problem, China, that this defense innovation rush is happening to keep up with to begin with, right? Months and months pass. We start to enter 2024. Jan Sramik is still doing interviews, but I started reading them, right? I'm writing this massive story, okay? Like I said, this has been a year in the works, guys. All right, I didn't do this overnight. It's massive. I've been writing this for a year. Not like it's, you know, perfectly written or whatever. During that time, Jan Sramik has seemingly gotten more open about his defense initiatives, his defense interests. I told you that the investors are very interested in defense.
You know, as I'm listening to this, but I'm also trying to keep updated on what's going on with Iran, and at least it doesn't seem like our overlords are too concerned about us, our safety, and any preemptive attacks. If they're willing to go and create these giant bases and cities, because most of the time, California, as I said, is always like the testing grounds for like the markets, or like the when they release like a new product launch, and that's how they do it. They start it off in China, and then they go and do it in the liberal cities and states in America. So this is going to be the test launch for something that is probably going to start happening more and more throughout the country. And I would bet that there's more land being bought up for the same purpose. And they're not expecting any actual nuclear war.
But all they talk about is the civilian benefits of their city, if they talk about it at all. So understanding how they try their best, Jan Sramik at least, and the investors try their best to give off a vibe of civilian interests. California's housing crisis, California's economy is struggling, it's hard to get a home, equitable, we need walkability, we need this, we need that, everything for you and the recreation and quality of life of civilian systems. Well, as time goes on, Jan Sramik opens up a bit about the defense side of things, as I predicted and had already theorized. Take a look at this article. Now, the article is from Andreessen Horowitz's website. Andreessen Horowitz is a venture capital firm that funds technology startup companies, but namely groundbreaking technology startups. Okay, Mark Andreessen, the guy, co-founder, partner of Andreessen Horowitz, owner of this website, venture capital boy, big boy, one of the biggest. Okay, he co-founded Andreessen Horowitz with a guy whose last name is Horowitz. I forget his full name. This guy was huge because he was instrumental in getting Facebook up off the ground. If I recall, he like advised Mark Zuckerberg. So if you look at Mark Zuckerberg as like a big titan of Silicon Valley, this guy advised him. You get what I'm saying? If I recall correctly, I might be butchering that. Just an example of the caliber here. And recall, he is one of the investors of the project you're looking at on the screen. Okay, California Forever, the East Solano plan. They published this article. Okay. Right here. It's called Rebuilding the California Dream with Jan Sromik, and it's done by Catherine Boyle. Now, this is March 5th, 2024. At this point, I was in a lull in my research. I had already developed my theory. I was just trying to find a way to write this freaking monster, dude. I couldn't write it. I was having trouble, writer's block, organizational issues, and so on. Okay? It was an issue. Okay? So this article comes out, and I miss it at first. But guys, you want to see? I love making these videos. The vindication videos, guys. You know the ones. I've made a few. It's not about rubbing my ego. It's about applying what you and I have learned together to the real world in a real world application and then being proven right about it. Just like we did with the Instagram stuff and the predators on there. Just like we did with Epstein stuff, right? This is another example, just in a far different capacity. Take a look. This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. All those civilian interests, but yet here's an interview over, as time passed. So Catherine Boyle asks, yeah, I think that's where everyone says, sign me up, responding to the last question. But another unique facet of this project, actually, that I think a lot of people in this room will be very interested in is that it's located very close to Travis Air Force Base. Indeed. And the area is home to many veterans. So how do you envision the interaction between this new city and the veteran community that's so populous there? Now that is what I'm talking about and interested in. How are these Air Force bases, especially Travis, going to sort of like absorb the community around them in the name of national defense in the same way we're seeing with California Forever being like a data anchor point hub for Travis Air Force Base? Like, is this going to be a template like Jan Sromik wants for other cities in the future? The new template moving forward? Well, this is how he responds. What's with the location next to Travis? Keep in mind the video. The totally normal civilian interest video of the city. Jan. We think that Solano County has the roots to become... We think that Solano County has the opportunity to become... had the opportunity to go to the roots of what Silicon Valley used to be. Quiz time. What did Silicon Valley used to be? Silicon Valley was born out of military and defense initiatives. Does Jan say that? He says yes. And so Silicon Valley started with defense. We know this. Okay. Whoa. Oh my God. That right there is leagues further than any mention of the military stuff before. He didn't mention any of this at all, but now all of a sudden he's talking about all the stuff he's into being the product of the military. All right, this interview is going to be good. Hold on, let's pay attention here, guys. I learned the other day that between 1950 and 1980, the largest employer in Silicon Valley was Lockheed Martin. And so that's not that far back. But then we lost the defense business because land costs became too high. There wasn't enough land for manufacturing. And it became too expensive to do. And then there were cultural issues and infighting between the tech sector and the defense industry. And then Jan says, we think that particularly with American dynamism and this revival in interest in investing in defense innovation, there's a real opportunity to bring back some of that to Northern California.
Where do they expect to get all of these people? That's what I don't understand. With the BlackRock deal that they're buying up all that land to develop in Ukraine, and then all that land that's being purchased in Australia. What are they planning on doing with that if they don't have people to move there?
Woo. Now, does this sound anything to the reasons he gave originally? We want to reinvigorate the economy. We want to provide jobs for Solano County residents. We want to bring back industry. He mentioned that, the industry part. But goddamn, he didn't mention that the industry he was talking about was like military defense innovation industries and stuff. So notice the contrast right off the bat between these two interviews, guys. And your boy Memory Hold wants to get to the bottom of why he wasn't talking about this to this poor lady here who had to listen to him about talking about the economy and agriculture. Let's continue. So they want to make Solano County like a new area for defense innovation. So he continues, and it's hard to do that in the core Bay Area, reinvigorate it in this way for all of the reasons that we discussed. But in Solano County, there's an opportunity where there's an existing large labor force because of Travis Air Force Base. So many people work on the base. Basically, if you live in a town or city next to in the vicinity of a military base, it's an economic driver, and the two feed off of each other. They're self-sustaining entities. A military base is like its own city within a city, oftentimes. But the two are integrated in many ways, too. They use different commercial services, right? They might share, not like internet connections, but like telephonic line. Like, there's a bunch of things. Water supplies, stuff like that, right? Interchangeable. Which, in today's day and age, this is probably for the next video I'm going to cover, military functionality and bases are going to merge with local communities, because local communities near bases are threat vectors now for the bases, meaning a bad actor can get to a military base and attack it by using the town and city next to it as a vessel to do so. Why? Outdated infrastructure, cyber infrastructure. You can hack shit over here. It interconnects to the base. It's over there. Okay, that's for the next video. But notice what Giannis Sramik is talking about here. Totally flies in the face of the stuff he was saying before, which is still true. But he was not talking about this crazy stuff. There's a big difference between fixing the housing crisis, like he said here a year ago, and reinvigorating America's national defense innovation economy of an entire fucking region of America. That's crazy ambitious and radically, it's so dramatic, it's absurd. And so we think that Solano County can become the foundry of American defense innovation for the next 50 years. And I think that there was a lot of talk today about our adversaries and some of the challenges with that. And I think there are two things that I think would have given our adversaries hope over the last 15 years. What's going to slow down the pace of America? Okay, let me reword that here. What he's saying, guys, is way further than even my embellished characterization of California Forever. How it's a defensive military platform. Guys, it's not just a defensive military platform, the California Forever East Solano City that Jan Sramik has planned. His goals are even more ambitious than that. They want to build up Solano County to become the new foundry of American defense innovation for the next 50 years. That's utterly transforming everything we know. Taking a region that isn't known for that, or has since lost that activity, that industry, whatever, because of the difficulties laid out above. Very difficult to live there, therefore people didn't live there, therefore there was nobody to innovate. And it's all of this aligns with the proposed resolutions for the threats facing us today. How do we keep up with China? They're able to advance really rapidly, but we're not, because we're a democracy and they're a dictatorship. They could just tell people, do this, build a smart city, fuck privacy, fuck whatever. We have to do it democratically. It's slower. So how does America, this is what the military reports are saying, which we'll get into in the next video. All the reports are about how do we do this democratically. All has to do with the partnership between Silicon Valley and American military, closer than ever before, to the point where they're fused. This is a result. This isn't a sustainable city for civilians to fix the housing crisis. This is an effort to reinvigorate and make Solano County the new foundry of American defense innovation. The physical embodiment of the proposed resolution of every military strategic trend report and monograph that I've been reading for the past 2 years about emerging technologies and next generation threats from now to 2050. That's why I was able to spot this story for what it was right off the bat. Because for a year before this story broke in August 2023, I had been reading those reports, reading the proposed resolutions. And then the city comes along, and I immediately recognized the strategic significance of its geographical location, its investors in their background, the Epstein connections, Kamala vying for the White House, Kamala's ties to the spokesperson for this group, and to the investors, some of which are the Epstein-connected investors. Kamala is actively...
I knew there was a more recent video on this. I just want to play this. This is from his other more recent video, and this is Gavin Newsom talking about it.
I read about it.
After it was already announced?
Kidding me? It has to be. Of course Governor Newsom knew about it, right?
Did they give you a heads up?
No, I read about it.
After it was already announced?
I was told about 5 minutes before my phone lit up that there was an article about to post. And I was immediately intrigued. They said, you'll be more intrigued after you see it.
Wow. Immediately intrigued. Immediately.
So that's him finding out, supposedly, about this whole project.
Raising money for him right now. This is a massive, dramatic vie for military dominance, which is why I think it's going, like I've said it before, but I think it's going to happen, which is hard to believe, being as nobody wants it in the area. Nobody is convinced it'll pass a vote. But something this important, I feel like, is going to be forced through, right? So what's slowing down? Jan Stramik is saying here, we want to make this the new foundry of American defense in the next 50 years. And then he starts talking about the challenges we face and the adversaries, but he cuts himself off and he corrects himself. He starts saying, basically, there are two aspects of America where if we did it, it would make the adversaries happy, aka it would be bad to do these two things because it would help the adversary. The first reason was that we were strangling the Bay Area innovation ecosystem by just not providing enough housing. So we couldn't create a critical mass, he says. We couldn't innovate as quickly as we could if we did that. Okay, well, that answers that. He talks about the housing situation in this video, remember? But he doesn't talk about how the housing issue plays in to slowing down the innovation ecosystem. He just says we're going to fix the housing stuff. But this is so massive and dramatic and mind-bendingly large in its scope and implications for us. Given that the military paradigm shift is shifting away from international affairs and back to the homeland. And away from the counter-terror paradigm, the terrorists are us. A bad recipe. This is huge. Why isn't he talking about it here? You get what I'm saying? Let's continue. This is short, but you're getting the point here. This is crazy, man. The second reason, remember, that adversaries, would hope for this to happen to us. The second was this period of, I would say, limited engagement between the defense community and at least some of the venture firms in the Silicon Valley. So basically he's saying the fact that for a while there was a lull in our collaboration between the two entities, Silicon Valley, which is civilian, private sector, and the military, our adversaries liked that because they knew, China especially, knew, we got to get rid of that barrier. There was no barrier at all for them, but China, but whatever. We have to get rid of that barrier and make the civilian space the same as the military space, so there is no gap in time to getting new weapons out there, new technologies, new capabilities. Okay, that's the name of the game. And for the next video, I have a report queued up. You think I'm talking out of thin air here? No, I'm reading this boring shit. But it's not, actually, this is quite exciting. This is the China's Smart City Development Program. You can read this yourself. It's an overview of China's Smart City Development Program, its application in the Belt and Road Initiative. Smart cities are key. And if keeping up with China is key, and if keeping up with China...
The other thing that's odd, you know, and recently, because obviously this is 9 months old, what did Trump say today on his what was it, Truth Social or whatever? He was glad to take 500,000 Chinese nationals to go into our population, into our schools. This is why it's like they go and they do a test market in China, then they bring it to California and New York, and then this will be happening somewhere else near wherever bases they've got. I would assume probably a couple in Texas, maybe in Jacksonville, that big Navy base in Jacksonville. And I'm not familiar with too many of the other ones. I think there's one major one in North Carolina.
Is what is driving the creation of California Forever. It's good that we make ourselves aware of this type of stuff, right? So you have to read stuff like, where'd it go? I just had it a second ago. The smart cities, China's Smart City Development. And what do they say about their ability to modernize quicker? And by the way, this is from U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission. This is like an official thing. So the research for this report relied on Chinese and English language sources, blah, 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 blah. Key findings of this report. In order to better inform the U.S. government and Congress as they assess how to secure U.S. economic and security interests via China, about Chinese smart cities plans, this report identifies a number of key findings about, the Chinese Smart Cities initiative that we're trying to keep up with, but have to do it differently and democratically. China's smart cities policies involve, smart cities are part of a decades-long pattern of Chinese government programs that seek to digitize and informatize cities to improve China's comprehensive national power and internal strength. The central government's top-down approach, as I said, to smart city pilot programs and shift away from city-led initiatives has led to the centralization of decision-making and the decentralization of implementation, thus making the pace even faster, right? This has resulted in a non-linear and unpredictable development trajectory for Chinese smart cities that allows for course correction and experimentation. These are abilities we do not have, especially without collaboration between the military and Silicon Valley, as Jan Sramek just said. Here, limited engagement between the defense community and at least some of the venture firms in the Silicon Valley was the second thing that adversaries were looking at and saying, good, that's good for us. That means we're going to be faster. Jan is saying, nope, I caught on to that. I'm going to build a goddamn city and help quicken the pace of the military advancement to protect America. But I'm not really going to mention that. I'm not going to talk about all... So after that, let's listen to this first minute here. After all that crazy important goals that I just outlined, let's go back in time a year.
Why Solano County, and why directly around Travis Air Force Base?
Solano County is an interesting place in that it's at these crossroads of Northern California. It has a lot of many of the best things that make Northern California. But at the same time, because it has been between the two metro regions, it's been between the Bay Area and and Sacramento. What I noticed at the time is that it hasn't received its fair share of major employers, of investment, of tax dollars, of transportation dollars, and so it was this really special place. But it felt like if we build a project like this here, we could really bring up the whole area, and we could help rectify some of those imbalances. And a good example of that is jobs. What I learned when I started coming to Solano County was just how many people would have to commute an hour and a half every day for job, and that seemed like a situation that we could dramatically improve. And then with regards to Travis Air Force Base, we never had the intention of building a city next to Travis Air Force Base. We started buying property far away from the base. Eventually we acquired property close to the base because we wanted to be able to work with the base to protect it and to strengthen it. And we felt that if we were doing a large project in the kind of 5 or 10 miles away from the base, then we would want to control the property next to the base as well, so that we could adequately provide the right protections for Travis as well.
And remember, like, a lot of these guys, these tech bros, they all have military contracts. That's where all of them get their money. Like Musk, Bezos, all of that stuff, it gets incorporated into like kind of like sliding its little way into the public sector, and they get cover from that. And it kind of answers my questions when a few streams ago I was asking and trying to like figure out what's going on with why so many of the higher ups from our country simultaneously say that they want to go to war with China, but then go ahead and sell all these rights or deals with them, get bribed off by them. It just kind of really shadows that there is like a shadow government, and that all of these people are working together in like a big theater and pretending to be enemies.
You've been buying land for over 5 years. Why?
Okay. So do you notice the vast contrast between this interview done almost a year ago, shortly after they had their identities and motives and their city idea revealed, and this interview, which was done just a few months ago? We went from providing housing for civilians to transforming the entire region into the foundry of American defense for half a century in the name of keeping up with China. And yet Governor Newsom had no idea about it, apparently, going back to my first paper and video on it. Right? That's what we're supposed to believe? So I'll end it off here, and we're going to continue in the next video going deeper into the national security, global, geopolitical, strategic, national security landscape shifts that are happening that are prompting people like Jan Sramek to have this type of goal, right? And not only that, possibly be not like dishonest about it, but not as forthcoming about it. Because to me, these goals are so important that they should be the primary goals, right? And yet they're not. He cites much more mundane goals as his primary goals. Meanwhile, all of this is beneath the surface. The militarization of it is beneath the surface. And it's a testimony to the wider, broader, geopolitical, shifting national security landscape, shifting away from the PNAC, Project for a New American Century, counterterrorism paradigm that dominated the decades following the 9/11 attacks. We're shifting away from that now. During that time frame, we neglected the homeland. We let our bases fall into disrepair. Private cities became more advanced, utilizing Internet of Things technology before military bases did. In that time period, simultaneously, China advanced technologically way faster than we thought. Not only that, disruptive, not black swan, but surprise technologies also dropped. AI hit faster and harder than what was expected. That's what the military and RAND type reports say. What does that result in? A sudden shift in the military national security paradigm back to the homeland, away from the Middle East. We're done with the PNAC vision, 7 countries in 7 years or whatever. You know, good enough, mission accomplished, gotta go back home because we're about to get bombed by Chinese. They're buying farmland next to us, flying balloons over our bases with nuclear arms. We're getting swarmed by unknown drone operators in bases across the country. Civilians are seeing, like, the battle is here now. Jan Sramek knows that. His city is an embodiment, a physical manifestation embodying every single proposed resolutions by the reports such as this one, called The End of Sanctuary, Protecting the Army's Installations from Emerging Threats. And other documents such as Strengthening America's Defense Innovation Ecosystem by RAND, or their Emerging Technologies report here. Emerging Technology Beyond 2035, Scenario-Based Technology Assessment for Future Military Contingencies, California Forever, is an answer to the problems currently facing us, and you'll see that in the next video. Check the video description, guys, for all the previous links. Go to my Substack. My link tree is in the video description. In there is my Substack link. Go there. All my previous coverage is laid out. All the sources will be up on Substack, okay? So go there for everything, including the video as well. And I'll have some further videos on this, chipping away at this massive document that I really want you guys to read and check out. American Civil Military Fusion. It's over on Substack. It's huge. It's been my original findings, totally brand new findings that nobody's discussed. Nobody's talking about this, not even in our circles, guys. American Civil Military Fusion and how this proposed billionaire city might be doubling as a military platform for national defense, as I've sort of alluded to in this. So I'm going to be breaking this down into a video series for your guys, hopefully at convenience. In the meantime, like, share, and subscribe. I put a lot of hard work and effort into this. If you wish to donate to monetarily support the show, go the extra mile. You could sign up on Patreon. You could get access, for as little as $1, you get access to the MH library, over 100 books written by globalists, the military, all the reports, for example, that I just told you about. This report, this military civil fusion report in China. Oh, the awesome report on smart cities in China's smart cities program. That's in the MH library for as little as $1 a month. You get access to that. But on top of that, you get access to my Elite Mindset Analysis series that are lectures analyzing not only these types of documents, but books such as Between Two Ages by Zbigniew Brzezinski, the former national security advisor of Jimmy Carter, one of the founders or main figures in the Trilateral Commissions, one of the most prominent world control groups. This is his book. In it, he talks about weather warfare, and he essentially predicts the future. He talks about the fragmentation of society because of technology, communications technology, the stuff this hinges on. It covers stuff like brainwashing through books like The Manipulated Mind, Brainwashing, Conditioning, and Indoctrination, if you want to cover the mind control topic. We cover a lot of interesting topics here, guys, and you get access to that over on Patreon for as little as a month. Or as little as $1 a month. So links in the description. Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal is also available if you want to throw a fucking quarter in the bucket. If you're rich, maybe make it $1 million. That'd be dope too. You know, the real monetary support comes from simply liking this video. I don't care about the money. It helps, but what really helps is keeping this channel alive. Share this. Subscribe if you aren't there already. Follow me on Substack. Help me grow that newsletter. There's stuff up there that I don't post on YouTube. Okay? And besides, everything I do post on YouTube, the sources are on Substack, okay? And that's that, guys. I'm pretty excited to continue going through this with you. I think for those with eyes to see, I think you'll recognize the significance of this.
Okay, so maybe tomorrow, if I have time, we'll go through this other video, because I thought he had more stuff on it, so that makes sense. It's good because that was actually kind of new to me, some of it, at least the precursor of what all this information is here. And I'm glad I was able to find that thing about him talking about Gavin Newsom. And I'm sure with everything that's going on right now with the riots and all the fires and the crumbling of LA, then I have a feeling that this kind of stuff is always tied together. I'm going to have to cut it quits because I got work in the morning. Appreciate you guys all watching. If you could throw me a like on the video, make sure that you subscribe to Memory Hold 5.0. He's got great information. He doesn't seem to post a lot lately, and when he does do live streams, he seems to remove them. He did a pretty good thing about the Diddy stuff. So I'm not crazy about UFO stuff, but he had some stuff about that. He's a really good wealth of knowledge. So make sure you watch his stuff and give him credit for all of that. All right, guys. I think that's it. And hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. And I'll see you the next time we all get together. Peace.